As the Delta variant continues to spread in southwest Missouri, health officials continue to see new positive cases, but also an increase in vaccinations. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
The search continues here in South Florida, even as crews deal with rain and wind from Tropical Storm Elsa. I'm Charles Watson. More on that coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Authorities today formally charge a man in connection with a fatal crash during a police chase in Joplin Saturday. Charges against 36-year-old Kenton Cowgill of Carthage include DWI, death of another, resisting arrest, and drug crimes. When Joplin police investigated a report of a car blocking a driveway on Rex Avenue Saturday, they say Cowgill was inside that car, unconscious. When they woke him, they say he appeared to be intoxicated, then drove away. Joplin and Duquesne police chased him until Cowgill was involved in a crash with two other vehicles at the intersection of 7th and Duquesne Road. The driver of one of those vehicles, 66-year-old Robert McDermott of Joplin, later passed away. Police say Cowgill tried to flee from the crash scene and get rid of 94 grams of meth under his car. Jasper County prosecutor files formal charges in a weekend stabbing. It happened Saturday afternoon at Ewart Park. Police say the victim had multiple stab wounds. Suspect was arrested a short time later at around 5th in Kentucky. That suspect is Joe Guevara, a homeless man. He's being charged with first-degree assault in that stabbing. Police say a man robbed a Joplin gas station with a machete yesterday. It happened at the Fast Trip on East 32nd Street. Police say the suspect pointed the machete at the clerk, then demanded cash. After taking an undisclosed amount of money, he ran from the store. The suspect was later arrested, but again, no official charges have been filed. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Another gorgeous evening, Nick.
Yeah, thankfully not too warm either, Jordan. On a normal day like this, we should be seeing highs topping out around 90 degrees, but we only had a high of 88, just like yesterday after a mild start at 67 degrees this morning. I haven't seen anything to track on the radar network, at least in our area. That being said, I have thunderstorms to the north, way up in southern Wisconsin, and dying storms out in southwestern parts of Kansas. All those storms fired up ahead of a front that will play a role in our forecast for tomorrow. In the meantime, though, we're in the upper 70s to lower 80s. We drop into the lower, make that upper 60s tonight, Jordan. Before we see rain chances take up tomorrow, we'll track that and the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thanks so much. Area vaccinations against COVID-19 see an increase after months of low numbers. In Missouri, there's been more than 500,000 positive COVID cases with nearly 10,000 deaths. And more than 4,500 new cases have been confirmed in the last week. KOAM Zach Dodge has how this area is faring and how vaccinations are increasing as the state nears 5 million administered doses.
46 patients, with 3 on the ventilator, received treatment at Freeman Hospital because of COVID-19.
We are definitely feeling that more robust, more contagious strain.
They're seeing a younger population, with some stays lasting as long as 2 weeks or even longer. The Delta variant of the coronavirus being blamed for causing 150 new cases in the last 7 days as of the 3rd in Joplin. Freeman has gone from doing 100 tests a week to 50 just on Tuesday.
It's still here, and for us to continue to pretend that it's not, we're not really doing ourselves any favors.
An hour away in Barton County, an uptick is also hitting the rural area. 15 new cases were confirmed from June 27th through July 3rd, putting the official total to over 1,000 in the community of 11,000, while the health department director estimates the total to actually be higher.
It'll be old times, unfortunately, just like old times.
But as cases have increased, so has the vaccination rate. In the last 7 days, 97 doses have been administered in Barton County. That number was only 65 at the end of June.
It could be higher, sure. I think we all could say, you could have it be higher, but I think we do have a little bit better position going into this than what we did before.
And in Joplin, 926 doses were administered in the last week, compared to 944 at the end of June. And over the weekend, Freeman saw a 20% increase in demand for their upcoming vaccine clinic. And hospital officials hope that that's a trend that will continue.
I think ideally it would be great if, everyone chose to receive the vaccine, but I think in smaller terms, one person being vaccinated is better than no one being vaccinated. So one person at a time, that's how we can conquer the pandemic.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Freeman also says they've seen an increase in parents setting up vaccine appointments for their kids who are 12 and older. Today, President Biden told unvaccinated Americans it's about to get easier to get a COVID shot, and they're running out of reasons not to. This comes, of course, as new variants try to take hold in the U.S., as we've been hearing about. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more from D.C.
COVID-19 cases and deaths are down by 90% since January. So please get vaccinated now. It works, it's free, and it's never been easier.
President Biden gave a COVID progress report on Tuesday, detailing how far the country has come with vaccinations and how far it still has to go. By the end of the week, the White House estimates that nearly 160 million people will be fully vaccinated. But as Delta and other variants progress, the president and medical community are pushing for more.
These vaccines, again, have proven extremely safe and efficacious in adults, especially the vulnerable, which is why we have continued to see a drastic drop in hospitalizations and deaths.
The president came up about 4 points shy of his goal for 70% of American adults to have at least one shot of the COVID vaccine by July 4th. But the nation's birthday could be a different kind of factor in the pandemic. Medical officials are now on the lookout for a jump in cases after large 4th of July gatherings across the country, including in states with high vaccine hesitancy rates.
Several studies have suggested that despite the so-called breakthrough infections, these mRNA vaccines are still incredibly protective.
The administration is also sending more vaccines to pediatricians' offices so kids 12 and up can get their shots of those back-to-school physicals this summer. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Search and rescue crews at the South Florida condo collapse are being spared a direct hit from Tropical Storm Elsa, later upgraded to a hurricane this evening. They continue to work around the clock, searching for victims in the rubble. Fox News correspondent Charles Watson has the latest from Surfside.
Search efforts in South Florida resuming Tuesday after being briefly put on pause due to lightning and rain bands from Tropical Storm Elsa.
These teams continue through extremely adverse and challenging conditions. Through the rain and through the wind, they have continued searching.
The situation now a bit safer for crews working in the rubble after what remained of the building was demolished over the weekend. With an unstable structure no longer towering above them, workers can now access areas that were previously unreachable.
We have been searching those areas, B1 and D1 was those primary grids, and then partial into B2 and D2.
An official answer to what caused the building to come down may still be months away, but at least 5 lawsuits have already been filed on behalf of residents, including some who are still missing. The Miami-Dade state attorney also says her office will present its own case to a grand jury. The tragedy has sparked concerns about many of South Florida's beachfront high-rises, especially Champlain Tower North, the condo's sister building built by the same developer.
Given we do not know why the first building fell down, we have significant concerns about that building and the residents in there.
FEMA has said it would pay relocation costs for anyone who wanted out of that north tower. A few residents have taken them up on that offer, but most have decided to stay put. In Surfside, Florida, Charles Watson, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Robert Jones has served in the U.S. Navy. A native of Anderson, Missouri, Jones has been on a Mediterranean deployment, earning several awards. And we are proud to, of course, thank and salute Robert Jones. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and a bit later, Patrick Mahomes teaming up with USA Football and a local football coach to host Coaches Clinics this summer. Going to have details in sports.
The warm times continue across the 4-state area with quiet skies and partly the sunny skies to speak of. Fortunately, that was all we had to track for today. Nice time lapse from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. Again, that bit of cloud cover did not stop us from heating back up once again. Thankfully, away from our average high of 90. So kind of a warm day, kind of like yesterday, where what the warmest indication I have was 86 yesterday at 5 o'clock at Joplin Regional. Well, we hit the upper 80s yesterday, upper 60s this morning, and back into the upper 80s this afternoon. We're going to trend a little bit hotter tomorrow, despite rain chances wanting to return. In the meantime, though, another beautiful sunset. Nice contrast with the clouds in the background across the 7th range line from the east side of Joplin. 79 in the city, feels like 81 though, with the dew point still sitting in the mid 60s. Not terrible dew points, but we'll see how that stacks up in a moment here. Upper 70s to near 80 all across the board at 9:12 on this Tuesday night. And generally, again, the dew points, they haven't been too terrible. Most of the day, they've been sitting in the mid-60s. So it felt a little sticky for some of you, but we'll certainly take it compared to how easily we go into the 70s at any point during the month of July and much of the summer, quite frankly. But as long as those dew points are still up there, it still feels like we're in the lower 80s across the area. But these numbers continue to trend downward into the upper 60s. That's where we'll eventually go as we head into tomorrow morning. Again, nothing to strike here throughout the day, but thunderstorms to the north in the upper Midwest and thunderstorms that have mainly stayed out in western parts of Kansas. But all of these thunderstorms ahead of a stationary front that will actually start to edge closer to us as we go into tomorrow, thanks to this upper wave running along our upper level ridge. That will continue to push a front our way and help rain chances to go back on the increase. But overnight, I still think we're in good shape. All those thunderstorms out in central and western Kansas, not a deal for us to start the day out at the very least, but it's going to be a warm, mild start rather, with lows back in the upper 60s. Then here's 10 o'clock. The future track might want to show a random shower or storm in southeast Kansas to start the afternoon out, but as that front and the upper wave kick into gear, that's when we'll see more in the way of scattered thunderstorms throughout the afternoon. Nothing severe expected, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have some good downpours of rain with our thunderstorm chances tomorrow. 68 in the morning, 86 by noon. I'm thinking afternoon highs right around 90 degrees. But like our typical summertime thunderstorm chances, they'll start to fade away once we get closer to sunset. And then after sunset, here's 10 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll just deal with partly cloudy skies going into our Thursday morning. As long as the system's still around, I'm not going to rule out just the slightest chance for a random storm, but it's still going to be fairly warm on Thursday with highs dropping back to 87 degrees. We're trying to start the weekend out, but hot as well, with highs around 90. Then the system comes back, Jordan, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And with those rain chances, that'll actually knock us back to 88 on Saturday and lower 80s for Sunday and Monday.
Nighttime temperatures, not bad at all, though.
No, thankfully with the lower humidity, too, actually feels good for a July night.
Yeah. Nick Kelly, catch you a little bit. Thank you so much. Americans take to flight on July 4th weekend in huge numbers, signaling the itch to return to normal summer travel. Transportation Safety Administration says it handled almost 2.2 million people on Friday. That's the largest number of airline passengers since the start of the coronavirus pandemic in March of 2020. TSA also saw 1.9 million passengers on Saturday and 1.6 million passengers on Sunday. Coming up, preparing for Elsa.
As this storm gets stronger, there are now hurricane warnings in multiple counties along Florida's west coast. I'm Steve Harrigan in Clearwater Beach. That story ahead.
Tropical storm Elsa strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane tonight as Florida braces for the storm's impact over the next 24 hours. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more now from Clearwater Beach, Florida.
Elsa is gaining strength before making landfall along Florida's west coast. Tropical storm warnings are in place in southern portions of Florida, but in Tampa and further north, hurricane warnings are in effect. The National Hurricane Center warning of the potential for life-threatening storm surges, flooding, and isolated tornadoes.
You're going to see impacts all across the west coast, up the west coast into the morning hours.
Key West already feeling the effects Tuesday with 4 inches of rain and winds coming in at 60 miles per hour. Rain also picking up in areas surrounding Clearwater Beach, though some folks were still out trying to enjoy one last beach day before the storm hit.
Hoping it stays further offshore and doesn't strengthen, but just gotta kind of stick to the plan or vacation as best we can.
We are going to drink, watch the storm from our balcony and say some prayers.
So far, there have been no mandatory evacuations in areas like Tampa, but some in low-lying areas are taking caution. Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has expanded a state of emergency to include more than a dozen counties where Elsa is expected to pass through.
Please heed any type of warnings from your local officials. Just be careful as you can complete your storm preparations. We'll closely monitor this storm and provide additional updates.
Elsa is expected to make landfall north of Tampa Wednesday morning. In Clearwater Beach, Florida, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Coming up, going to hear about a new report alleging China is on a mission to take over key positions and cover up the origins of COVID-19. Firefighters are working to put out nearly 200 wildfires burning in Western Canada right now. The flames come as areas are still recovering from record-breaking heat last week. As of Monday afternoon, there were 199 active fires in the province of British Columbia. About 2/3 of the wildfires are considered out of control. The wildfires have forced people from their homes, and so far, the fires have caused at least 2 deaths. With Chinese nationals at the helm of multiple UN agencies, concerns are rising that China may be trying to cover its tracks on how the coronavirus outbreak started. Fox Senior News correspondent Eric Shawn has more now from New York.
China is hijacking the United Nations, targeting UN agencies for its own purposes, and critics say the U.S. has to push back. That is from a stunning new report by the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. It says China is taking control in the halls of global power by taking over United Nations agencies, including helping it cover up COVID-19. The report's lead author says the World Health Organization, the WHO, was so compromised by China that the agency helped hide the truth about how the coronavirus outbreak started.
Look no further than what just has happened to all of us during the COVID-19 pandemic. The World Health Organization, who would have assumed at any point that China had taken such influence over the WHO that despite the U.S. leading its funding, that they would help Beijing cover up the origins of COVID-19.
Chinese nationals are in the top positions at 4 UN agencies, prompting accusations that Beijing is running them to expand its influence.
In 2013, I discovered that the UN Human Rights Office has been telling China in advance exactly which dissidents plan to speak out.
At the UN Human Rights Office in Switzerland, UN whistleblower Emma Riley charges her agency forked over the names of Chinese dissidents to Beijing, and that some of them were later tortured and put in prison.
The reaction of management was effectively to say that I was being naive. That political reality is that China's the new boss. In the interim 8 years, I have suffered intense retaliation from the UN management, and I serve as an example to other staff that if China asks for something, it should be given.
The Chinese mission to the United Nations did not respond to our request for comment, but the report says Russia is also copying what China is doing, trying to expand its influence at Turtle Bay. In New York, Eric Shawn, Fox News.
Next, going to visit Europe. Check out the official world's tallest sandcastle. Check this out, a colossal sand sculpture shattering a Guinness World Record. The world's tallest sandcastle was unveiled right there in Denmark last week. It was built in northwest Denmark, to be exact, standing nearly 70 feet high. Nearly 5 tons of sand was used to build the massive castle. The new sand castle tops the previous record of a nearly 60-foot castle that was built in Germany back in 2019. Just look at that, the detail. Isn't that something? Now, here's hoping there's no strong winds anytime soon, right? 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports. Coming away, Joplin City Council meeting to discuss an $8 million contract to expand part of 32nd Street. Also, a local college adding an esports team. Going to hear where the new team will practice. An $8.6 million widening project and $180,000 in funding for the health department. Two of the bigger items on the agenda for the Joplin City Council tonight. KOAM's Chris Warner was at that meeting, and Chris joins us live in our newsroom now with more. Chris?
Jordan, both of those items met with approval from City Council tonight, with the Health Department funding being an emergency ordinance and the 32nd Street widening project on first reading. Now, on just first reading, that means the contract for the widening project will come before Council once more for final approval. Now, the contract is just over $8.6 million and will fund the widening of West 32nd Street from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. The project will be divided into two main phases, the first from Schifferdecker to Apricot, the second phase from Apricot to Central City.
The closures on that street will have a big effect on a lot of people. We like to put out news press releases as well as let some of the people the most directly affected know.
Now, also tonight, the council approved on an emergency basis a contract for funding for the health department. Now, the agreement is with the Department of Health and Senior Services and provide the department with just over $180,000 over the next 3 years to assist in planning and implementing COVID-19 and other adult vaccinations.
This funding allows us to expand our reach a bit more, so we can offer more clinics, and also we can hire additional staff with this if needed.
Now, back to the widening project, Johnson says they anticipate the work getting started in October of this year and being completed hopefully sometime in the summer of 2023. Reporting live in the newsroom, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Chris, thank you. Some local high schoolers are on a quest for clean energy. The quest is taking place at the Polymer Research Center at PSU. The high schoolers, working alongside PSU students, are synthesizing a new material printed by 3D printers to be used in supercapacitors, batteries, and fuel cells.
One of the professors came to me and asked what I was doing this summer. I said, well, I'll join this internship and get some experience in a real chemistry lab with some real grad students, professors, people who are working in the same field as I think I want to go into.
The fuel cells this year's students are researching could be used in electric cars. The Miami, Oklahoma Municipal Pool opened today. For the first time this season, the pool had remained closed up until today because the city needed to put a new liner in it, and they didn't have enough employees to run it. That's all taken care of now. It's in the past, so residents are able to enjoy the water.
This was our main hangout when we were kids, and I remember my dad bringing me here, and it's just a lot of fun, you know. We'd play board tag and corner tag and spend the whole day here, you know. We didn't get in our parents' hair. We wanted to come to the swimming pool.
The pool is open on Tuesdays through Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Route 66 Miami splash pad is open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. NEO A&M College in Miami is adding a new sport to their athletics lineup, esports that is. The school partnered with the Peoria Tribe to launch the team as a club last school year. Now it has 25 members. Because of the quick growth of the club, it has now been declared an official team of the schools. The team will compete on games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Call of Duty, and Super Smash Brothers.
I get excited when my students are excited, and I just let that excitement build, and I just ran with it. So really, I'm overseeing the esports because my students requested it. They wanted somebody to do this for them.
The esports team is going to practice and compete at the Buffalo Run Casino and Resort Esports Lab. Well, trials of a 4-day work week in Iceland have been deemed an overwhelming success. A 4-year study conducted by Iceland and UK researchers had workers in a range of professions shift to a 35 to 36-hour work week. The result? Well-being dramatically increased and stress and burnout improved. As for productivity, it remained the same or improved. A new study suggests removing your wisdom teeth could give you a better sense of taste. Researchers with the Smell and Taste Center at the University of Pennsylvania say having your wisdom teeth removed can heighten your sense of taste over time. Now, the scientists analyzed data from 1,255 people over 20 years on detecting sweet, salty, sour, or bitter tastes. One explanation is taste bud nerves damaged during extraction developed long-term hypersensitivity to taste. Russian-linked hackers are demanding $70 million after attacking thousands of companies across the globe. The group has already made millions from U.S. companies that have paid up this summer. The ramped-up attacks are putting President Biden on the spot just weeks after he brought up the issue at his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively joins us again, and she has details from Washington.
$70 million. That's how much Russian-linked criminals say it will take for them to release a decryption code to unlock the computer networks for thousands of small businesses they've hacked. It's the single largest ransomware ever conducted, carried out by the network REvil in 17 countries on Friday.
It's a worldwide hacker affiliate or hacker associate, if you will, that has people all around the world. And that's whom they are extremely confident is behind this.
REvil breached software by the IT firm Kaseya designed to protect against malware. It asked for $5 million from individual service providers and $45,000 from their customers to be released. Then on Sunday, REvil asked for the $70 million to provide a decryption code that would unlock everyone affected. Now the FBI and other U.S. agencies are helping hunt down the hackers.
I directed the full resources of the government to assist in a response.
REvil is the same Russian-linked organization that in May attacked JBS. The meat processing company paid the hackers $11 million after its plants were shut down. Before that, the group also attacked the Colonial Pipeline. Colonial paid out more than $4 million. Those were single companies attacked. Friday's hack affected thousands.
I think that we've demonstrated the nuclear scenario just happened.
Several bills are being written to address these crippling cyber attacks, but no action this week. Congress is out of town. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, border reinforcements.
As the surge here at the southern border continues, states from all around the country are now sending help to Border Patrol. I'm Bill Malugin in La Jolla, Texas. That story coming up.
We kept things nice and quiet again on this Tuesday early in July, but we kept things warm, thankfully away from any official 90-degree readings, and humidity not intolerable, but still okay throughout the course of the day. Nice time lapse from Indigo Sky, partly to mostly sunny skies from start to finish from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, and looking quiet still from 7th and Range Line. 79 in Joplin, feels like 81 though, with that dew point sitting in the mid-60s still. So yeah, it's still a little sticky outside, but again, we can see those numbers a lot higher anytime during the month of July. Most of us in the mid to upper 70s at 9:40 on this Tuesday night, and the dew points again, mid 60s, not off the charts, but just enough humidity to make it feel like the upper 70s to lower 80s still, even though again, we are pushing the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Other than that, we are looking quiet on the SKYWATCH storm tracker, at least in our immediate area, but thunderstorms in the upper Midwest and additional storms that are finally starting to fall apart deep into southwestern Kansas, southwest of Garden City. All those thunderstorms have fired up along and just ahead of this front that will start to play a role in our forecast tomorrow as the upper ridge starts to lose control temporarily. As it does, this upper low, that's what's going to start to send that front our way starting tomorrow. So what does that mean? Future track forecast keeps us quiet for the overnight hours, thankfully, and to start your Wednesday morning out. Mild start, most of us pushing into the mid to upper 60s. I'm thinking 69 around Joplin, but we're dry to start the day out. Around lunchtime, though, and maybe as early as 10 o'clock as well, you can see how the future track wants to paint a few isolated storms on the Kansas side, but that's the front and the wave kicking into gear. And as we get a little more heat, a little more humidity, that's where we'll see scattered thunderstorms picking up during the afternoon. Not expecting anything severe, but the strongest of these could put down some pretty good downpours at times. 68 in the morning, 86 by noon. Still a bit of a hot day with highs starting to top back out near 90 degrees across much of the area. But once we get past 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock, well after sunset tomorrow, the rain chances die out. We'll stay quiet for Thursday morning, but as long as that system's still around on Thursday afternoon, we'll at least keep things partly sunny and highs in the upper 80s. I'm not going to rule out a random storm, but compared to tomorrow, Thursday is looking relatively dry. But looking down the road, as system actually lifts back to the north on Friday, that pushes us back near 90, if not in the lower 90s. At least we're dry to start the weekend out. But here comes a stronger wave that wants to hang out and keep rain chances in the forecast. Periods of off and on rain and storms, so not a complete washout, but that's the plan for Saturday and Sunday, and even before it lifts out on Monday. But we'll be thankful for this because look at the temperatures in the 7-day forecast. We go from 90 tomorrow, 87 Thursday, 90 on Friday. Then we'll go from 88 on Saturday to 82 for afternoon highs Sunday and Monday. So that'll be a brief but nice little cool down, Jordan, before we start to edge back near 90 next Tuesday.
Looking at the glass half full, I don't see any hundreds yet.
I know.
Yes.
If I remember Doug's long range, maybe the end of the month. So we got a long ways before that. But yeah, short term, nothing.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Coming up in sports, Patrick Mahomes teams up with USA Football to host a coach's clinic in Webb City. We'll have the details. Plus, Pittsburgh American Legion baseball hitting the field against Harrisonville, Missouri. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and his foundation are teaming up with USA Football this summer to host 3 youth coaches clinics in Missouri and the Kansas City area. And one of those will be in Webb City later this month. And Webb City High School will host a coaches clinic on July 31st. The other 2 are in Olathe and Kansas City. Webb City head coach John Roderick and Rockwood Summit head coach Mike Bellers will lead the clinics this summer. Now, their focus is showing youth coaches the best way to teach the game based on age and skill level.
Every opportunity we have that I have to go, put on a clinic or work something USA football wise, I try to do that. If I'm available, and of course, when this got Patrick Mahomes' name, tied to it with his through his foundation. So I think it's really important to educate youth coaches, especially because most of those guys, don't have much experience in terms of coaching and best practices and things like that.
Those clinics are free to youth coaches. There's a registration link in this story on KOAMnewsnow.com. The Joplin Outlaws are right back on the field tonight, hosting the Jeff City Renegades. The 2 teams are tied for first place in the Mink League South Division after the Outlaws dropped last night's game to Nevada. Now, tonight's game is in the top of the 7th, all tied up at 7. Caleb Fearstake, good night for Joplin so far. He's picked up 2 hits and 3 RBIs. American Legion ball tonight. Pittsburgh Post 64 hosts Harrisonville. Top of the first inning, Cameron Williamson setting the tone for Pittsburgh. Strikeout to end the top half. Bottom half here, Post 64 comes out swinging. Brett Sutterby back up the middle, scores Shea Munkin. After that, check out Caston Fields. Bouncer to the right side. He'll beat the throw to first. Runner scores. Pittsburgh gets 4 in the first inning. Post 64 adds more in the second. Williamson at the plate now. Sends it to center. 2 score on that one. Then Brandon Kelly yanks one into left. This will go all the way to the wall. RBI double for Kelly. All Pittsburgh in this one. Post 64 gets the shutout 10-0. The Kansas City Royals are in the middle of an interleague series with the Cincinnati Reds. And the Royals dropped game 1 of the 3-game series last night 6-2. Tonight, KC aims to even the series at Kauffman Stadium. This one's in the top of the 8th. Royals trail it 6-1. Kansas City has only managed 3 hits so far this evening. St. Louis Cardinals are on the West Coast for Game 2 of their series against the Giants. A late start, of course. They are out west, but the Cards right now up 2-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Nearly a dozen states across the country sending help to the southern border on an effort to help stem the constant stream of migrants crossing into the U.S. Fox News correspondent Bill Mulligan has the latest from Texas.
The flood of migrants crossing the southern border into the U.S. showing no signs of letting up. But now, more help arriving here in Texas as Republican governors from at least 10 different states are responding to Texas Governor Abbott's call for help.
to create an environment where people will choose they don't want to come across the border into the state of Texas anymore because it's not what they were expecting.
States like Florida and Nebraska already on the ground in the Del Rio sector, providing additional police officers and National Guard troops to assist Border Patrol. Help from additional states like Iowa, Idaho, Arkansas, and South Carolina also on the way.
We had a border that was pretty much secured. Now, with the new policies, the new administration, it has really turned into the Wild West.
All this as large groups of migrants continue to cross over into the country. On Tuesday morning alone, a group of at least 100 migrants, mainly women and children, were apprehended by Border Patrol in La Jolla, Texas. Meanwhile, the Latin advocacy group League of United Latin American Citizens delivering a letter to President Biden, urging him to stop states from sending help, calling it an insurrection from rebellious states that must be stopped.
That logic is not going to help this current crisis right now. If you do not agree with what Governor Abbott is doing or what the state of Texas is doing by providing all these resources for this crisis, then what solutions do you have?
And agents here at the border say illegal crossings are now at a 20-year record high. Reporting in La Jolla, Texas, Bill Malugian, Fox News.
Next, going to hear about some new uses for sea life, all part of an effort to help marine ecosystems. They're small creatures, but sea urchins are causing big problems in oceans around the world. They're destroying crucial marine habitats and stopping other species from thriving. Now, as Tina Cross reports, environmentalists are turning the tables on their urchin enemies.
Get some nice young urchin.
These divers in Australia are more like fishermen with fins, looking for a good catch.
Sea urchins are moving through these reefs, sometimes in really dense fronts, almost like little armies moving along and clearing everything in their path.
They're collecting menacing sea urchins to stop the spiny creatures from devouring huge amounts of kelp that capture and store harmful carbon dioxide. Divers put the pests on a plate for a seaside snack.
We can eat it and help solve an environmental problem at the same time.
Well known as uni in Japan, some restaurants in Australia are also touting urchins as a delicacy, even to garnish cocktails. But not everyone is feasting on the little critters.
And when every time we tell them about sea urchin, they always say no.
In the U.S., Pacific purple sea urchins have destroyed more than 95% of kelp forests from San Francisco to Oregon. A company called Urchinomics is capturing the creatures and selling them to sushi and seafood restaurants looking for new recipes. A worldwide effort, hoping to save the oceans one bite at a time.
Researchers say sea otters on the California coast are also helping to devour some of the sea urchins eating away at those underwater forests. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of red pandas at Prospect Park Zoo in Brooklyn. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.